All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining us, and I hope you are comfortable in where you are, wherever in the world you're sitting. Welcome to another session of Tech Talk Tuesday with Team Deep Pedagogics. This time we are actually not talking, we are meeting the expert. We have spent a whole week or even more actually collecting your questions and queries and worries about OneNote and so many more things. And our expert here is here to answer all of those. She's very excited. We've been working very closely with her for about a week. So, welcome, Marjolein Hoekstra. You're our expert today, and she runs OneNote Central. She's the partner product expert for OneNote and TweetMeets at Microsoft Education. Well, she is a OneNote tinkerer actually, and a technologist, internet consultant, and a certified OneNote instructor based out of Netherlands. I'm going to give the floor to Marjolein to introduce herself. So the floor is all yours. And thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me as a guest on this webinar. I'm very excited about this. Maybe I shouldn't say so, but I told Meenakshi that I was actually a bit nervous about this event, and she said, "Oh, you're going to be doing just fine." So here I am. So I wanted to start and tell you a little bit about how I started using OneNote, so that you know I launched this all by myself, and slowly but surely grew into this and developed the knowledge that I have right now. So several years ago, I was making notes in a different tool, and I badly needed a different note-taking system. And especially when I started my studies at Leiden University a few years ago, I had the ambition to become fluent in Chinese, so I enrolled for Chinese university studies. And I needed a place to jot my notes. So long story short, I explored several options and started making my study notes in OneNote. And while I was doing that, I was discovering a number of things that I didn't quite like about it. And so I started to create another notebook with all my notes about OneNote, that the things that I didn't like. So I had two notebooks, one notebook with my study notes and one notebook about what I thought of OneNote. And eventually, I reached out to the OneNote team in the United States, and I told them, "Hey, are you making any plans to improve the product?" I had no clue how that all worked. And I asked them if they would be interested to learn about the suggestions I had. And from there, we started to work together. I grew my knowledge about OneNote. I took courses. I, did a lot of reading on the web. And of all those things that I did, I made notes. And that really helped me to get me to where I am right now. And one of the latest developments is that since a year and a half or so, I now organize events on Twitter called MSFT EDU Chat Tweet Meets. And the whole purpose of those events is that we want to help educators connect to each other, learn about a certain topic that is relevant at that time of the month. And we've been quite successful with that. Many people enjoy participating. We try new things every month. We're going to do some new things this month as well. So if you're available on February 20th, you're most welcome to join this event. It's going to be about literacy. Maybe during the rest of the half hour, we'll have some more time to dive into this. But I first want to see how you are all doing and maybe get started with the first question or the first slide. Meenakshi, what do you think we should do first?
I think your journey is completely and totally inspirational. And I wouldn't want to move further without saying this, that I've always drawn inspiration from you. She is a guide who would just not feel shy telling you, you know what you're doing is great, but you could be better by doing this. So if you're looking for any of those things, do ask. The chat window is running. And I always miss introducing myself, and I do miss out thinking that, people over there are familiar with me, but I do know that many people are going to view this. So I'm just going to take a minute very quickly. I'm going to introduce myself. I am Meenakshi Oberoi. I'm an education evangelist and the founding director of Deep Pedagogics. We are into nurturing education, and every Tuesday we try and bring you webinars. We do many things. We do teacher trainings, we do tech trainings, we write curriculum, and we are big time into nurturing education. So thank you for joining. And without further ado, I'm going to share with you some of the OneNote starter tips. I know many of us have been looking for this. So Marjolein has been very kind to us, and she's just consolidated those for us and put them, and I put them together in a PDF. Is there in your resources to take it away. So you may please feel free to download and take them away. And I'm going to play the host, and she's going to be my special guest. I'm going to keep posing questions to her. So my first question, because I'm the host, I do get to ask the first question. So here's my first question to you. What excites you most about OneNote, and how do you carry on learning beyond? How do you know about the latest developments? How do you keep yourself paced and updated?
Okay, do you want me to start answering that? All right, so what I like about OneNote the most is that it fits my way of thinking, of organizing my thoughts in a hierarchical way, so I can just start writing on the page wherever I want. And if that topic that I'm writing about starts to become really big, I can turn it into a section, or even a section group, or even an entire notebook. That's actually how my passion for OneNote grew, right? I first started off by just creating one page about what I liked or disliked about OneNote, and from there it started to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's OneNote is so flexible in these things, and I can store anything I like. I can even play back live videos from a OneNote page. Well, what more could you want? And that type of thing, you know, the new developments, the embedding live content, linking pages to each other to create like a Wikipedia type of document, a textbook that you can offer to anybody. That type of thing really excites me. So yeah, I work in OneNote all day, and even those tweet meets that I just referred to, I orchestrate those right from a OneNote notebook. So all my hosts every month get a new OneNote section with all the instructions of the things that they should carry out to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And so I practice what I preach. OneNote is in my life every day, every minute of the day. And the way I learn about it is I make sure I follow whatever in the world is being written about OneNote, and I do that through a number of methods. One is that I follow blogs about OneNote. The tool that I use for that is called RSS, so that's something else than the political party or the political movement that you have in India, but there's also a technology called RSS, and I use that to subscribe to blogs from people who write about OneNote. I also run web search queries. I follow people's posts on Twitter and on all kinds of other platforms, and that way I learn and learn and learn. And the other thing I do a lot is I experiment. I experiment and then write about it on Twitter. So if I discover something, I will write a tweet real quick. Hey, look what you can do in OneNote, and then other people respond to it and connect to what I'm saying, and they connect it to something that they know about, or they wrap it up in a blog post of their own, or publish a video, and that way the ball starts rolling and people start to connect what I'm doing. And that's one of the things that I like the most about the work that I do, is it's not just me, it's a whole community of people who are passionate about OneNote, and that makes it so much worthwhile. So that's what I do. I just keep on learning, keep on reading. I make sure that my web search skills are actually excellent. I know how to construct a complex web search query. If you don't yet, then I highly recommend that you do. And the same goes for your Twitter search skills. So start learning and make notes about what you learn. Talk to other people about it, and be open to feedback. Those are the best things I can pass on to you.
Fabulous. I think passion just exudes in your voice. So here are some of the questions that our participants have been posting, and I've been sharing them. So I'm going to read all the four questions for you so that you can answer them because they're almost related. So question one: do we require Office 365 account to access and create OneNote? What is the
No, you
difference
don't.
between OneNote and Class Notebook? Being a teacher, how can I use OneNote to engage and interact with students? And what are the silent, that is the lesser known or yet powerful features of OneNote? So that
Right.
actually should give you a good space to talk about this.
Yeah, yeah. So let me start off with the first one, and that's definite no. There's no need to use an Office 365 account, but for anybody who's in education worldwide, Office 365 for education is free. So that shouldn't be a hindrance unless there is, you're in some kind of school district that hinders you from signing up for an Office 365 account. But other than that, that program is free. If you don't have Office 365 and you cannot get a license, then you can also just sign up with any email address. Turn that into a Microsoft ID, and that Microsoft ID gives you access to OneNote notebooks that you can store on OneDrive for consumers. So Office 365 stores its notebooks on OneDrive for Business or SharePoint, and the Microsoft ID allows you to store notebooks on OneDrive for consumers. Then the next question was the difference between OneNote and OneNote Class Notebook. Well, basically, that's about permissions. So a OneNote Class Notebook is a type of OneNote notebooks, but with special permissions for teachers and students. So teachers have their own private space they can work in. They have a space where they can enter content that the students can read but not write into. And the students themselves have their own personal notebook that they can access. And the teacher can access, but other students cannot. And then there's a hybrid section called the collaboration space, where students can collaborate with one another on a project that is, group-wise. So, and especially with the latest update to collaboration space, you can now define subsections in the collaboration space that allow you to have specific students work with one another, write to that section, but not have other students alter those updates. So let me. I'm having the conversation window open, and sorry, my eyes are so bad. Ananika, might say Ananika is asking, why are there so many different? Yeah. So yeah, why are there? This is a recurring question. Why are there so many differences? Well, this has to do with the fact that development of all those different products rests with different groups of engineers, and they're trying to catch up. So if you would take a timestamp from what these programs looked like a year ago, they were much more different than they are now. So the engineers are working very hard to make sure that all the various features are similar, but different platforms also have different requirements. For example, the desktop clients of OneNote all have keyboard shortcuts defined. In OneNote Online, you cannot have those same keyboard shortcuts because these are captured by the browser. So there are different capabilities that can be built into a web version of a product and a desktop version. And I don't know if this question is coming up in people's minds. There's also frequently a recurring question, hey, what's about the OneNote for Windows 10 version and the OneNote 2016 version? Well, if you have Windows 10 running on your computer, I highly recommend that you start checking out the OneNote app, because that's the version that Microsoft is putting all their development energy into. The OneNote 2016 version isn't going away or anything, but it's not being updated. So any new features are going to be exclusively focused in the OneNote app for Windows 10. So about a specific application of OneNote in a teacher environment, I would highly recommend that you start to talk to fellow teachers about that, how to best set up your classroom so that your students benefit the most. Start reading blog posts, start reading my channel where I frequently post links to blog posts and other videos and presentations from people, because I personally am not in a classroom. So I'm not the ideal person to tell you how to set things up in your classroom. I'm more the person of, how do you do this, or, how, tips and tricks, that type of thing. I'm less of a teacher. So the silent and more powerful features of OneNote, for sure, what I just said, embedding live content in a OneNote page. If you have OneNote 2016 on your computer and it's licensed through Office 365, or you've downloaded the free version from OneNote.com, you can embed live videos. You can embed ThingLink, GeoGebra, Desmos, and so many other tools. There's a page that lists all these sources. I've linked to it in one of the resource pages that is part of this whole presentation. And I definitely recommend that you check that out. One of those is also Microsoft Forms, so you can embed a Microsoft Form in your OneNote notebook. That's one thing that I really like. The other thing that many people are in awe about is the fact that you can easily turn a list of names or a list of topics into OneNote pages. So you can just start typing a number of rows under each other, then select them all, then right-click what you have typed in, and then instantly have those names turned into OneNote pages. That's called Link to Pages, and it's very powerful. And lastly, what I really like about OneNote is that you can type anywhere on the page, you can drag stuff around, you can organize things in tables, and that allows me at least to make sure that my pages look attractive. So I definitely recommend that you start working with those.
Wow, in a breath, those were so many to take in. Well, for the very convenience, what we've done is we're recording this session. This will be available to you. You could go over it again and again, and I completely understand that in one way it's super difficult to keep pace. But thank you so much for giving us so many tips in just about one breath. So here's our second set of questions. How can OneNote bring equity in learning? How can OneNote help students to succeed? What are the benefits of OneNote in inclusive learning? I would actually put it all together to say, let me know how OneNote helps in creating inclusive environments.
Well, this is at the top of the Microsoft education agenda, so I can say something about this. So several years ago, Microsoft started to push OneNote to educators. You probably all know that, right? That all of a sudden there was a whole team dedicated to making OneNote suitable for the classroom, and lots of developments were being launched. It started with Class Notebook, and about 2 years later or so, Microsoft launched the Learning Tools, which was the result of a hacking competition among Microsoft engineers. And this system, the Learning Tools add-in for OneNote 2016, has grown into a huge movement, and you can now find dictation, read aloud, and lots of other features that are all targeted at students of all abilities in many different platforms and products. So you have, of course, all OneNote products have some kind of Learning Tools ability built in, but also Word, Outlook, Microsoft Edge, and it's really becoming very popular. And that's why, for example, during the BET conference in London last week or 2 weeks ago, there were huge audiences crawling on the Microsoft booth to hear Mike Tolson's stories and to learn more about how to make their classrooms more accessible. There's a ton of resources. I've selected a couple of them and linked to them in the resources. But basically, what you do is you personalize your OneNote content to the ability of the student that is having some kind of issue. So, And that's why OneNote is so powerful, because you can use all kinds of data entry. If a student cannot read, you can record your voice. If a student has difficulty reading, you can use the immersive reader to blow up the text and to make sure that there are no distracting elements on the page. So my recommendation would be is get to know learning tools, install it, or use it in OneNote, use it on the other Office tools, so in Word, Word Online, Outlook, and all the other tools that Microsoft provides. Have a look at the Sway that I've linked to in the resources. It lists a ton of tools that you can use together with OneNote and really make your lessons more inclusive.
Awesome. We'll let you catch your breath while we let you see what kind of audience do we have today. What's the comfort level that people have? I'd request everyone to please use your finger, take the poll for us to see who's in the audience today. So what's your comfort level with OneNote? Are you, what level are you working at? I wouldn't even want to know. Just use your fingers to quickly give us, most of them are competent. All right, let's see. Oh, we have people who are proficient too. I'm sure no one, while Marjolein is here, is going to say I'm an expert. Oh no, we had people saying I'm an expert too. Excellent, excellent. So thank you for giving us this poll. You do get an idea of the audience here. And let's carry on now with the learnings and let's see what's next. Android phones do not allow. That's all right. We understand. You could just leave me a message here, Pooja, and I'm gonna punch that for you. Thank you. So the next set of questions here for you are: what is the difference between OneNote and Google Drive? How can you use OneNote to collaborate with students? Is it possible to share OneNote page of OneNote instead of the whole notebook? I would put that into focus because we've been asked that many a times, so we've been providing solutions, but maybe you have something more to say. And the next one, can OneNote help identify plagiarized content?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave it for you to answer, please.
Yeah. So the difference between OneNote and Google Drive, these are two totally different beasts. OneNote is a note-taking tool that allows you to write down your thoughts, plan lessons, insert content from all kinds of sources. And also find those back by searching for it. Google Drive is from a different company. It's a file storage system, and I don't see how these two can easily be connected. But basically, Google Drive is the direct comparison for Google Drive would be OneDrive. OneDrive for consumers or OneDrive for business from Microsoft. Those are comparable services. So Google Drive is to store files. OneNote is to store notes, thoughts, and all types of content that you want to search for later.
Add here that for OneDrive, we have already done a session. And if you would like to view the sessions that we have already done or the gone by sessions, you could go to our YouTube channel, which goes by the title Deep Pedagogics. We'll just push in a link here. I'm relying on my team to do that. So you may go and view to better understand what OneDrive is. So thank you. And I'm sorry, I just barged in.
No problem. Okay, so how can you use OneNote to collaborate with your students? Well, that's obvious through OneNote Class Notebook. You can create a collaboration space, or it comes with a collaboration space where students can collaborate together, and of course the teacher can engage with those students and provide all kinds of assignments if they want to, and what you do, what you put in those lessons highly depends on the subject that you teach, and what is the current phase of your students. So I highly suggest to also talk to fellow teachers about that, so that they can give you ideas on how to use this. In the resources that I've shared, there are a number of sample notebooks that you can just make your own. They are copied to your OneDrive if you click on them. And this allows you to just see what other teachers before you have used OneNote for. Then the next question is it possible to share only one page of OneNote instead of a whole notebook? Well, actually, there is such a possibility in the OneNote app for Windows 10. So that requires that your computer runs Windows 10. That Windows 10 comes with a special version of OneNote called the OneNote app. And that OneNote app has a unique sharing feature called the page sharing feature. And what you need to know about it is that any page you share through the page sharing feature is view only. And so the people you share this page with cannot edit it. So that's the only way that I know of that you can share a single page with somebody else, only for viewing, not for editing. And then the fourth question on this slide is, can OneNote help identify plagiarized content? No, it cannot. And if this is important to you, then I highly suggest that you submit this as a feature request on the OneNote feedback forums, which you can find at the onenote.uservoice.com website.
Excellent. So every minute that you spend here is going to be absolutely useful, and I'm sure it's worth your time. Also keep an eye on the chat window where Amit has posted something very interesting, that you can use MS Flow to connect OneNote and Google Drive. And we do know there are schools who are still using both the platforms parallelly. So here's something for you. Once again, I'm going to tell you that there are absolutely wonderful tips that Marjolein has shared with us. We have actually packed them all together in a PDF. It's available as a resource to you. Therefore, please do take it away with you. Next set of questions, if you are absolutely up for it. Are you?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So how can you close the gap between your teaching and learning outcomes of students using OneNote? And what role does OneNote play in differentiated learning? I think you mostly have answered this question, so we don't mind if you just want to wrap it up in a sentence or two and we can move on.
Yeah, so I basically would say definitely check out all the resources about learning tools, about inclusive classrooms. The webinar that Mike Tolfsen did, also linked to in the resources. Watch those and then take notes while you are watching those resources or while you're reviewing them, and talk to others. Build your own personal learning network with fellow teachers and talk to them about these things.
We have a question coming in from Shelley. She says that since collaboration space is a place where students have view and edit rights, so does the teacher has any way through which she can lock that space for some time? Yes, I think the collaboration space can temporarily be locked. So, for example, if she only wants students to write in the collaboration space during school hours, then she can lock it after school and then open it back up in the morning. Wonderful. So there's another one there. Any setting in OneNote where the teacher can choose to get notified through email if any student posts something new? No, it doesn't happen through email. It just gets highlighted in bold, I guess. Yeah, it gets highlighted in bold. And if it's a page in a student notebook, the teacher can use the review student work option in the class notebook add-in to see which pages have been updated. But it's the same principle. Pages that have been updated are displayed in bold. Awesome. I think we have covered the questions. I hope I haven't missed any. Yeah. So next set of questions are based on sharing of OneNote. Possibly we have again answered. So I'm just going to quickly browse through because I'm very conscious of the time too. So in OneNote, can only one section or one page be shared with students? In OneNote class notebook, is it possible for the teacher to lock a certain page in one single student's notebook? Important. By locking, I mean, can a teacher make a page view only for a student in his or her own personal space? Very important question. I wouldn't want that lost. So I'm going to pause here for you to answer, please. Yeah. So I think I answered the first question. In OneNote, can only one section or one page be shared with students? And Chitra just commented in the chat, and she says, and she's correct, to share a single page
with a view-only link in the OneNote app for Windows 10, you need to be signed in with a personal Microsoft ID that connects to a notebook stored on OneDrive for consumers. You cannot use it with Office 365, and that has to do with all kinds of organizational protections, liabilities, etc. So that's why that isn't implemented in Office 365. So page sharing is only implemented on the OneNote app for Windows 10 for notebooks stored on OneDrive, and they require a Microsoft personal ID. Then the second question, is it possible for the teacher to lock a certain page in a single student's notebook? Yes, that will be possible, not right now, but it's a feature that was announced just 2 weeks ago during the BET conference in London. And it's being implemented right now, it's being built right now, and will become available in preview in the coming weeks, and then will be rolled out globally over the coming months. So be sure to follow Mike Tholfsen's account on Twitter, that's M. Tholfsen, the OneNote EDU account on Twitter, and my own, because we'll be, when that happens, we'll be really shouting it out because so many teachers have asked for this. So that's about page locking. And then the third question is about sharing a OneNote class notebook with teachers and students who are not in the same school. I will be very open and honest with you about this. I have heard of experiments from people who have done this, but it requires in-depth knowledge of how SharePoint works. And at this point, this is a method that is not supported by Microsoft. So long story short, don't go here because we don't know yet if this works reliably. So don't try to share a OneNote class notebook with teachers and students from another school. It's asking for lots of trouble that will be very difficult to resolve.
Excellent. Though that I would say would be important if you're working in collaboration with other schools on projects, but till it gets resolved and we do have security systems in place, please do not even try that. We have a question from Duhita. For maths teachers, how can it be made easy to record a video on OneNote while teaching a math problem? Okay, so you know what, Duhita, if I may, what we do is in our sessions also, we have a camera built in our system, so we just turn it towards us doing the whole thing or running the whole session. For those who have missed the session, we share the recording with them. I hope that answers, but I'm definitely going to ask you to answer this question, Marjolein.
Yeah, so what I would do if you are using OneNote to draw the mathematical problem on your page and project that on a whiteboard or something, then of course you can record whatever is happening on your computer using a screencasting tool, for example, the one that is now built into PowerPoint 2016, which you're free to use and will work with any other program that runs on that computer. Or you can use any other screencasting tool that you have access to. There are several free solutions out there, like Screencast-O-Matic, etc. And so it highly depends on whether you are doing your mathematical problems inside a computer or on a, with just a chalkboard, so to speak, because then you'll need a camera set up and that will be much harder. Shelley is asking, can there be a screencast feature available within OneNote? Well, if this, again, if this is important to you, then I would recommend that you submit this to Microsoft through the feedback forum. There is in the OneNote app for Windows 10 the so-called replay feature that you may want to try out. It lets you draw on the screen and then replay whatever you have drawn on the screen. Actually, it replays anything that is entered into that page, not just hand-drawn equations or something, but anything that you insert onto that page is being replayed. So maybe that suffices for you. And yeah, that's basically what I would like to say about that. So try the screencasting feature in PowerPoint and see if that meets your expectations. If it doesn't, then use the user voice feedback forum for your feedback.
Awesome. Again, in a breath, so many hacks. Please do catch the recording to catch on the hacks that you might have missed. Here's one. I think we had quite a smile on this question because it was hard for Marjolein to believe that there are Windows XP systems that are still being used here. Yes, they are being used in some of the schools. So here's your question: how to use OneNote with Windows XP and Windows 7, as many schools are just beginning to with technology or in no position to change the old computers. So what did they do?
Okay, so I actually, let me be totally honest with you. We reviewed these questions before this session started, and I really had to do some research to figure out, hey, what are the exact requirements for OneNote to work on people's computer? And I can tell you this. For Windows XP to run OneNote, you need to dig up a copy of OneNote 2010. Because OneNote 2013 and OneNote 2016 do not work with Windows XP. This also means that computers running Windows XP will not run Class Notebook. They will not let you share notebooks through OneDrive or OneDrive for Business. If you want to share notebooks with others, you would have to do that through your school's local area network, your LAN. And it will be a bit of a hassle, to be totally honest. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it will be a challenge. And there is no support anymore for OneNote 2010. I think that official support has ended. And also there are some security issues with those older operating systems. So you should be aware that there are risks running those old operating systems. There's a reason why Microsoft is really pushing Windows 10, and that has to do with vulnerabilities and liabilities. Windows 7 will run OneNote 2013 and OneNote 2016, so that's not a problem. It will, of course, not run the new Windows 10 app because that requires Windows 10. So that's what I have to say about this. And by all means, if a question such as this pops up in your mind, open a web search engine and type in something like Windows XP OneNote requirements or something like that, and try to find the answer yourself, and you'll find that the Office support pages have a number of pages relevant to this topic, to Windows XP and Windows 7.
Fabulous. And we have people joining in from everywhere, though I'm very, very conscious that we are almost 8 minutes beyond. We've run beyond our time. But I think it's such an interesting session. If you don't mind sticking around, please stick around.
Nope.
If not,
I'm here.
Very much for joining in. Yes. Okay, so the time's running really fast. Again, these pro tips are available in our with the attached document. Please do take away that attached document. I'm going to let you talk about TweetMeet, Marjolein, but I think there are 2 more questions hanging about OneNote. I'm very quickly going to read one of them first. Can you lock one section? Can you password protect a section just like a page in OneNote?
Yes, notebook sections can be password protected. Actually, this is a very popular way of using OneNote these days. For people who want to make lessons more attractive using OneNote, they are organizing so-called escape room lessons with their students. And what that basically means is all students start at the same page and they need to solve a certain challenge. And when they do solve that challenge, a password will reveal itself, and that password allows the students to unlock the next section with yet another challenge. So that's what they call escape rooms, and you can find lots of examples of that through my Twitter page, where I frequently highlight people's photos, videos, blog posts on how they set that up. one of the class notebook pioneers, Cal Armstrong from Canada, whose Twitter handle is SIG225, SIG225, has written a blog post about how to set up escape rooms for your students and all the lessons that he learned while experimenting with that. And there are a number of other MIE expert teachers who are really proficient in organizing this. For example, Melanie Lejeune and Gloria Enrique and a number of other high-profile MIE experts, and they are delighted to inform you how they set up their escape rooms with OneNote. So yes, most certainly you can password protect sections, and this is actually a useful thing to use with your students. There's one caveat, and that is once you protect a section, no one else can unlock that section unless they have the password. So do make sure you make a note of that password, because if you lose that password, no one can help you unlock it.
Okay, so there's another question of which I find pretty important, that since OneNote is the best tool for organizing your research, is there any inbuilt citation engine inside OneNote?
No, there isn't.
All right.
Unfortunately,
that's like
no
answer. All right. So Shelley, you have loads of feedback to give to the team. You have loads of demands. So I expect, being a deep pedagogics team member, you would be doing that right away. So do not miss on that. Marjolein, would you like to talk about TweetMeet? If there are any questions, please put them in the window. I'm going to tell you about the next TweetMeet, and Marjolein is going to talk to you about that.
All right, so in just 1 week, we are organizing a Microsoft EDU chat TweetMeet that I think is of a highly of interest to Indian teachers. Its topic is literacy, and we have invited 12 high-profile Skype master teachers who all specialize in literacy, librarians, ELL, English as a second language teachers, and they are thrilled about this event. And all kinds of additional events are taking place. There's a webinar coming up with the famous actor Henry Winkler, who's now a children's book author. That webinar is coming up on February 28th, and you're highly invited to join that. So I would say do check out the Microsoft Education blog, where events such as this are being profiled. And if you're interested in the TweetMeet next week, the way to join it is by making sure you're logged on to Twitter during the time of the event, which is, I think, 11:30 in the evening in India time, and we use the hashtag MSFTEDU chat, and as soon as the event starts, we'll start presenting questions to you, and you can respond to it. And then our hosts will engage with you. There are several people here on the chat who have been hosts, so they know what the process is like, and it's a very high energy type of event with lots of good results, good outcomes, many resources being shared, networks being built, people who connect to one another. And I really would like to recommend that you check this out. I publish about these events a lot on my Twitter channel, and there's more information on the Microsoft Education blog, and also in the takeaways in the PDF that we've shared.
Excellent. So I totally agree with you. It's a very high energy, power-packed tips and expert advice session. So you must join a TweetMeet. I have a question for you here, which I've been asked very often, and I'm sure you've been asked too. People not only want to be a part of it because we've survived in this whole environment and learned so much from the system, that they would also want to be a host, and many of our Indian MI experts have been, hosts in some of the sessions, have been a part of your TweetMeets as the expert advisors. So, is there anything particular that you look for, or how can we groom ourselves to be one?
Okay, so actually, I'm not quite, I wasn't quite ready to announce this yet, but I'm going to announce this to you all. One of the drawbacks of the current setup for MSFT EDU chat tweet meets is that the timing is less ideal for global audiences, and especially for Indian and other groups of teachers who are very active but who cannot easily attend the tweet meet. So that's why we are about to launch a product called Tweet Meet in a Box, and this will allow local groups of teachers to set up their own tweet meet events. And I think that would be a wiser approach to have local events of the MSFT EDU chat series than to try and qualify for the monthly ones that Microsoft EDU organizes, because these are all highly profiled themes that are prepared way in advance, and Microsoft is very demanding in who gets to present those as a host. For example, they need to be specializing in that topic, need to have a considerable number of followers, need to be active on Twitter. There are so many requirements, and it's going to be very difficult to make sure that people who want to be a host actually can be a host. I have recruited a number of Indian hosts in the past, but I will not be able to scale that to the number of hosts that I should be doing to make you all feel valued and justified. So I think the best approach would be to start organizing local MSFT EDU chat tweet meets in India, and maybe there should be even different events depending on people's region or people's language or stuff like that. And we're at this point, we're not quite ready to announce this widely. I'm doing this here because, you know, this is something that is really close to my heart, to make sure that everybody feels included. So just wait for our announcement, and then we'll try and make sure that this initiative reaches you all.
Thank you so very much. I think that answers and puts to rest many, many queries. And I think your answer to this question is completely, totally justified, and we all feel valued. And we will carry on with everything that you have told us. And once again, there are key resources which are again there in the PDF. So please do take them away. Here's something. So each time you attend a Tech Talk Tuesday session, you get points for attending this. You could go to our MEC, the education portal, education.microsoft.com, and today's code for today's session is MUOIX3018. We're going to post that in the chat window too. So you may please take it away. Do redeem this, and we will see you next week on another topic here. And our topic for the next week is mind mapping at Microsoft. If you want to know more about mind mapping, please do come back next time. Thank you so very much, Marjolein. This has been an absolutely informative and rocking session. I think it's been buzzing. I'm sure you'll be ready to grab a cup of coffee because you've actually spent so much energy here. Thank you so very much for agreeing to be our expert today.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry my video collapsed for some reason. I don't know how much of my video you've been seeing, but you know, by now you know what I look like. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much. And by all means, do reach out to me if you have any OneNote related questions. And I wish you all good luck, and I hope you succeed in everything that you do. All the best. Thank you.
Well, 20 minutes over time, and I know they're all here. This has definitely been a rocking session, so thank you so very much. We are still here. I'm going to stop the recording, but we are still here to answer any of your questions, queries. Another 10 minutes, we're going to stick around to answer your queries, so please just let them keep coming in. Thank you so very much for joining in.